Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. My name is Sienna, and this is Quantum Convergence, where shadows dissolve and the soul remembers. This is a space where the veil lifts, soul fragments return, and quantum convergence begins. Hi, friends. This is Sienna. It is about 3 a.m. where I'm at, and I was woken up and not so gently nudged out of bed to be able to share this insight that came through for the collective. If you are here and you have been listening to the other videos, I want to thank you so much for coming back. And I want to welcome you if this is your first time here. Now, the message that is coming through is really about how much we, there are illusions that are created in our environment through the potential that we see within others. And many of us do this without even realizing it, especially of us who are very sensitive to shifts in energy and that also carry the healer's heart and the soul that knows that it's here for a reason and for a purpose. We have a tendency to fall in love with potential, not just romantic potential, but what we see is possible from that soul's potential. Now, we are seeing this person from a place of who they could become, not always the person that they are. And we have a tendency to pour into these types of connections. We pour our light, we pour our energy, we pour our love into these cracks, offering and being a mirror of truth. And often we wait and we wait and we hope that something's going to change, that something's going to shift, and that we are going to experience what we see, what we see as potential. Now, here is the quantum perspective, and this is what came through that I'm supposed to share. What you are falling in love with is a timeline. It's a harmonious version of all that exists in that field of infinite possibility. And you felt it. You may have even touched it. And so when they choose not to become it, not to become that potential that you saw within the relationship, it can feel like a death and it can feel like a collapse of what could have been. Hi, Luna. And you grieve, not just the person, but the future you were ready to co create. This is why it hurts, why it lingers. And this is also why it's not your fault. You're built to see through the veil, but you're not built to stay entangled in the dreams that others are not willing to walk towards. And I have like a side note here that I wrote down in some of the notes that I took after I woke up and was called to share this, and just looked down. It was 444 on the timer. And this side note is about future faking in harmful situationships or narcissistic relationships. And why, if you are energetically sensitive, if you're spiritually gifted, if you are just very intuitive and you have the normal perception of always seeing the good in others, and that's a beautiful way to be. But we also have to be able to look at things from a different perspective and look at it from a place of seeing it for what it is, not for what we want it to be. And I think I'm going to end up doing a video on this, um, and on how harmful some of the dynamics in situationships and narcissistic relationships, how harmful they can be, especially when sensitive souls are put in these situations to not recognize that they're seeing things from the highest possibility and from the highest potential, and knowing that they might not be seeing who the person really is or what the situation really is, because they see it from a place of hope and of wanting everything to be the way that it was, maybe in the beginning, or it was perceived to be in the beginning. Now that's a whole other can of, pardon me, it's 3 a.m. That's a whole other can of worms that we're going to get into, I think, in another video. And it's important for all of us to understand the depth at which this can go. And this is why it hurts. This is why these things hurt us so much and why it lingers. And this is also, it's not your fault. You're not meant to be entangled in those situations. And I know I'm repeating myself, but it's important for us to know that we don't need to stay entangled in possibilities when someone isn't willing to walk toward that possibility. So, let this be your liberation. You weren't wrong to see their light, and you weren't wrong to love their becoming. But you're free. You can be free now, and you do not have to carry what they won't choose. You don't have to carry what they won't choose. You can still hold the gate if you wish without stepping into their timeline. You can still believe in who they are without losing yourself in who they are not. And most of all, you can let go without closing your heart. It's not rejection, it's redirection. And that's redirecting you back to your path, back to the radiant light that you are, that beacon of light in the darkness. You are that radiant light. Let the winds take you to where your potential is waiting to become real. And I just wanted to say, I see you. And I remember with you. I've walked this path too. And this is why this message, I think, came through so strongly for me to share with you, is so that you know you're not alone in this. And I'm sure this has been addressed before, but I wanted you to look at it from a different perspective, looking at it from an observer's perspective, seeing the experience that you're in from that bird's eye view and looking at it from a place of understanding that sometimes what we see within others is their potential, not truly who they are. And I think this is going to be a good place to leave this. I am so grateful that you are here. Thank you so much for joining the channel. And please continue to leave comments. I love to read them and I love to respond. I might not get to them right away, but please share your experiences, share what you've gone through, and know that this community that we're creating here is for support. We're creating this community, this energetic container of space, of high vibration, of high frequency, to guide you into the places within yourselves that you might not have recognized, that are hiding in the subconscious and that are ready to come forward. So I am so grateful for you and for your energy that you have been contributing to this space. Thank you again. If you haven't had a chance, subscribe to the channel to be able to be notified whenever I post new content. I am going to try to create more content than I have lately. It's been a pretty busy last week, so I will do my best to add more information that comes through as this collective continues to grow. And thank you again. Until soon, goodbye.